In three, two, one. Hi there, I'm Jim Raffle. This is the Jim and Shelby Show, all things print podcast. I'm joined as always by.
I am Shelby Sapusek. How are you today, Jim?
I shouldn't point when I'm on camera.
Probably not.
I'm great. I'm great. So it's a Monday when we're recording this, and we just got back from Nashville last week. What were we doing down there?
We were there for PDS Equipment's UV Energize, which is a annual event that they put on of all things UV print.
Yeah, and I think there's a bunch of laser stuff there, and we're gonna have a basically the majority of this interview is going of this episode is going to be an interview with Stephanie from the Country Porch Swing, which is her business where she makes things like this glass, which she actually helped me make at the show. She was there with I think it's Iconic Lasers or something like that, and they actually have a sandblasting piece of equipment. And
Mhm.
so this was sandblasted. She put the template on for me, but I actually did the sandblasting, which was a lot of fun. And so she's got that business where she does UV printing, she does sandblasting, she does laser engraving, all of it, everything that that show kind of represents. And then she also manages the Fire and Ink Facebook group, which is a great, if you're into UV printing, laser engraving, all those types of things, great Facebook group. Again, Fire and Ink, go look it up. We'll probably plug it again at the end. But yeah, the show was wow.
This year seemed, I think he keeps it to the same number of attendees every year, but it sure seemed busier to me.
I don't disagree. I mean, something there was a different vibe, a different dynamic. I'm not even sure what the right word is. Um, and it could just be, I've always had this theory that you need to show up at a show before the show is popular. I many years ago, it might be 20 years ago now, I went to an ISA show before any printers were showing up at ISA, but there was printing equipment on the floor, but there were no printers there, which everyone's like, why are you wasting your time at that show? I'm like, I have a feeling. And I felt kind of the same thing with SGI. I went to an SGIA show before it was really a printer show, and now it is the printer show. And so I felt the same way about UV Energize when you asked me if we wanted to sponsor it. I'm like, let's go check it out. There's probably something going on there. And it took till this year to really take hold. And it's our fourth year there. And now I feel like, first of all, I think we're part of the community. People know who we are.
Right.
And so when they come to our booth with a color problem, they trust that we're going to give them a real answer, that we're not going to just try and sell them something. And
Mhm.
because that's not the nature of that show. And I think that's what makes it unique. It's more of a conference with a trade show than a trade show with education. It's a conference focused around UV print education and business. I mean, Steve works in a lot of sessions that will help people who have a small business or a growing business, or some of the people that we've already committed to work with, very large businesses now. And that's the other thing that's happened. I think some of the people who saw us there 4 years ago had maybe just one machine or had just bought their first machine. And now they have four and five machines because they built successful businesses around that. And let's face it, with what we do, when you have one machine, you probably don't need us unless you're doing work for a major company. When you have five machines and you're trying to spread work across those five machines, I don't care what you're printing, you probably need us because you're going to start figuring out that all five of those machines don't print the same. And I don't know about you. I had some conversations like that last week. Did you?
I did. And I appreciated, again, us being part of the education that is UV Energized. We were able to speak again with Krista Turwi of Mamaki and talk about color management with Rasterlink while we were there. And the people were coming up to us and asking real, true questions about color and color quality with different instruments and different rips and different printing processes. And I think people were genuinely there to learn.
Absolutely, no question about it. And I think with that, what we should do is jump into the interview with Stephanie, and we'll come back right after that. All right. We are here with Stephanie from the Country Porch Swing and Fire and Ink Facebook group.
Yes,
So the Country Porch Swing is your business,
correct.
and Fire and Ink is a Facebook group, which I'm sure you also benefit from financially, but that's neither here nor there. And so you've been part of UV Energize how many years?
Three.
Three. Okay. And
what brought you to UV Energize?
Well, I was in the market for a UV printer. I was actually just on the verge of buying a different brand, and I met Steve on Facebook, and he said, "Come to Energize, check it out." And I told him, "I don't want to be sold a UV printer." And he said, "That's not what we're about." He's like, "It's about learning, education." And I'm like, yeah, right. And everything. No, come down, check it out. You're gonna love it. And I just fell in love with the people and everything, and I ended up buying him a Maki instead. So
that's a great story. But yeah. I mean, so the key is, he said that's not what it's all about, and it really isn't, right?
Not at all.
I mean, like yesterday, I know I ran into you just as you were walking out. You did like one of the kickoff sessions yesterday on basically AI for beginners.
Yes.
And what did you have? Probably 200 people in that room, I'm guessing.
At minimum, yeah. I just remember looking out at the sea of people and being like, "Whoa, that's a lot of people."
All right, on the spot, what would be like your main takeaway from your session for new beginners with AI trying to use it in their business?
Like, just to use it, really. It's a tool. I mean, the amount of time, just start small, start using it, and like the amount of time you save doing mundane tasks that you don't really need to spend a lot of time on, you can replace that time doing other more important things.
Learn how to prompt.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
You know, you see, if you follow any of the Facebook groups on AI, they can get very technical and it can be very overwhelming, but you don't have to do it that way.
Right. Yeah. All right, so let's circle back to Country Porch Swing.
Yes.
And so I actually knew you through Fire and Ink first.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably Steve recommended that I join the group.
Yeah.
And I think the first time you declined me, and then I explained who I was. No, I say that for a reason. So it's a very non-sales oriented group. It's a lot like this conference. It's education and helping oriented. It's very friendly. You do it as someone who has moderated Facebook groups and nowhere near the size of yours. It can be a nightmarish job, and you do it really well, and it shows because you end up with education. So if you're in UV printing, not trying to sell things to UV printers, but if you're in UV printing or you're doing lasers, Fire and Ink is great.
It's a really educational group, and there are so many people in there from beginners who don't even have UV printers yet, and they're just wanting to be there soaking up all the information. And then people who have been UV printing long before it was trendy and cool, and they know, and they're so willing to help.
So, and the way I found out about Country Porch Swing is you share examples of what you're doing with Country Porch Swing in that group.
It's a mouthful.
I know. And what it showed me is you're a maker, and I love makers. I'm kind of a maker. I play in the Bitcoin space, so I built Bitcoin miners. I love making things, so I appreciate the maker mindset.
Yeah.
And one of the things you shared 4 months ago, you just gotten your sandblaster.
Yes.
And you shared this little round stone. I wish I had one with me. It has a paw print in it.
Yeah.
And then the pet's name and a little heart, and it's supposed to be a memorial of your pet.
Yeah.
My wife and I have literally just lost a cat. And I reached out to you, and I figured out how to order it, and this thing showed up, and it was like, I mean, I don't want to sound corny, but it was like made with love. And I say that because of the way it came in this beautiful box. It was packaged like you would want something like that packaged. You had a note right from you. And then we lost another pet 3 months later, and we did the whole process again.
Yeah.
And then my wife's like, where are the other 2 cats? So we now have 4 of those stones in the garden where the cats used to love to play. And Shelby, who is here, she's holding the camera, and she's probably starting to shake now because this is taking so long. She lost a pet as well, and so we got one for her. And it's like, I mean, where do you come up with the ideas?
Honestly, I wasn't planning on selling those at all.
Really?
No, I like testing and playing around with things, and I had just got the sandblaster, and I was like, I want to try to incorporate every machine that I have into one project just for fun. And I was like, well, I'm lasering the masking to create the stencil for the sandblaster. I'm UV printing on it, and then I'm sandblasting it. So all 3 incorporated into one, and I posted it online, and then lots of people started buying them, and I was like, this is cool.
So the laser creates the stencil for the paw print?
Yes.
Oh, I was wondering how the laser was involved. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's cool. See, things you learn every day. So what's your takeaway for UV Energize this year, if you have one yet? I know we're only in day 1.
It's amazing. I mean, there's sessions and all the educational classes that you can go to, but just in talking to other people in the industry, just outside, all of the attendees, everybody has something to share and they're very willing to share. And I've learned so much by coming every single year.
Yep.
And talking to other people who are just doing what I do.
It's our 4th year, and I felt like the first 3 years there was a lot of the same people, and I'm sure they're still here. But I think that for me, what's setting this year apart is I feel like at least half the attendees I've never met. So it's kind of it's like we've got a whole new generation coming in, which I think is great, because otherwise a conference like this could get stagnant.
Yeah, well, the UV printing industry is growing like crazy. It's just, I mean, that's the hot topic now. So I think everybody's just coming in and trying to learn and figure things out. And when I was in the panel earlier, the awards panel, somebody said, who here is here for the first time? And I looked around the room and it was like almost every hand was raised. And I was shocked. Just that many people were brand new to it and excited for Steve and PDS and stuff too, because, you know, that shows that he's doing something right, you know, educating all the people on UV printing.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And look for Fire and Ink Facebook group.
Yep.
All right, so Shelby, I think you have actually, we talked about the stones that
We did.
Stephanie made for us. Do you have one of those handy?
I do. Mine's handy. I keep mine inside, but this is, Jim and I both lost pets this year, and we had stones made through Country Porch Swing. Stephanie was nice enough to do these. And they're very nice and nicely done and special memories of our pets.
And so, as she pointed out, this is just really pretty much an example of sandblasting by itself.
Mhm.
What Shelby is holding up is an example of all three of her technologies. So she used her laser. What you basically do is you put a membrane over the top of that stone, and then she uses her laser to laser out where the paw print is, and then puts that in her sandblaster and sandblasts out the paw print. And the reason that, everyone's like, why don't you just use the laser? Because you can't get anywhere near as deep as she gets with the sandblaster. And it really does make a difference in how I don't know, how real those stones feel.
Yep.
And then she UV prints the name and the little heart. And so, as she said, she was just going to do this as a test of how can I use all my technology for one thing. And then it wasn't just me. A whole bunch of people have apparently bought these. And that's the thrill of being a maker. When you're a maker, a lot of times you just do something to try it out. And sure enough, everyone goes, man, that is so cool. And it turns into a product. And so if you're not a maker of some kind, I would highly recommend figuring out a way to be a maker. Shelby's a maker. She's got a lab full of dye sublimation equipment and different heat presses so that she can try things out and play around with things. And I'm sure not everything you make works, right?
That's true.
But the things that do, like construction trucks socks.
Yep. And believe me, it's sock season again.
It is yeah, that's kind of why I brought it up. Your little Etsy store. I saw more than five pairs, 5 orders for socks, which is probably looked like 10 or 15 pairs of socks you sold in the last 24 hours, which is pretty crazy. And just so everyone knows, this is not some big business that Shelby has. It's a little side thing. Gets big around this time of year and into the holidays, but it's more just to keep us in touch with the technology that we go out and work with. And so we've got our hands in it every single day. Not every single day. Most days and for the season right now we'll be doing it. So any last thoughts on UV Energize?
Just that if you are into UV, you really should try to attend this show. So much networking and educational opportunities. If you need help getting in contact with someone, reach out to us and we'll do our best.
And so the reason I'm wearing this hat is this is actually a little sneak peek or preview of our next episode, which you are not going to want to miss. This hat is a branded Bills hat. It's a very high quality hat. They're not inexpensive, but Shelby has now tried them on and checked them out, and I think agrees with me that they're worth the money.
Yeah.
This patch with our logo on it is a leather patch, so it's actual real leather, which Branded Bills has some proprietary technology I can't talk too much about, but ultimately they print on it with a Momaki UV printer. And so it was cool to have these hats at UV Energize. because these hats actually were showcasing UV printing for a PDS customer, which is kind of cool as well. So yeah, I mean these are cool hats. We're going to talk more about these hats with Zachary from Branded Bills in a couple weeks, and you will get to see some more examples of these hats and hear what Zachary thought about working with color casters.
Sounds good.
I think that's it for this episode, though, right?
I think so.
All right, we'll see you in a couple weeks.